Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 44th Annual Manzanar Pilgrimage! On behalf of the Manzanar Committee, National Park Service, all of you who have come today, we thank you. You should thank yourselves. Yay! This is a momentous occasion, a great anniversary. We have a wonderful program for you today, starting with UCLA Kyodo Taiko.
Get out of here, Paul.
Paul, you want to sit here? John? Okay. Mary? Okay. Take these two. What's your hand doing?
All right, let me just get out of the way. Okay.
Go out! Hey! Hajime!
To see you all here today. I should explain the Manzanar Pilgrimage is really three things. It's a public program like this. It's also Manzanar at dusk later on, and in between the interfaith service, which is really how it all began right after the camp closed. 3 men of the cloth came back on their own with no publicity, on their own dime, and imagine what it may have looked like back then. There were certainly no porta potties, and things were still probably lying around in a state of disrepair. You go through the campsite now and you see very little, but imagine what it must have looked like when, well, 10,000 people were moved back out to where they should be, to their homes. There is a first aid tent back there. If you have some kind of medical distress in your area, please raise your hand, raise a shout, and we'll get to you as quick as we can.
A walker or a wheelchair.
It is. We can bring up a Nisei internee. And by the way, we will have two former internees, if you've looked at your program. Hank Umemoto, who wrote the great book, and later on, a wonderful recitation of The House I Live In by Wilbur Sato, who was also here at Manzanar. Okay. Les Inafuku is the head man, the superintendent of the Manzanar National Historic Site. He served a bit of time. Come on up, brah. No shame, brah. He served some time in Hawaii, but he's really a Southern California boy. Welcome, Les.
Thank you, Darryl. I guess I'm shorter. Okay. Aloha all. Welcome to the Eastern Sierra. Thank you all for coming to visit us here at Manzanar National Historic Site. To this 44th annual Manzanar Pilgrimage. We are so glad to host you here. We especially welcome our inspiring partner, the Manzanar Committee. Thank you for working with us so well over the years. For weeks, our amazingly dedicated staff has been planning and preparing to help make this pilgrimage, to help support this pilgrimage to be the best that it can be. And so it's been a true labor of love, and for us, this is our most important day of the year, and so we're glad you're all here. Manzanar and the pilgrimage are not just about the internment of Japanese Americans, the incarceration of Japanese Americans. Both the pilgrimage and Manzanar actually have a vibrant relevancy to today's world. And just by virtue of being here today, you are showing that your hearts are more compassionate and that your minds are open and inquiring. And we are just really hopeful that all of us can jump out of our normal frame of reference, our normal comfort zone, and reach out to others and be more accepting of all. And to our incredibly dedicated and enthusiastic volunteers and our partner organizations, thank you for helping us today. Darryl's already mentioned water. I do want to mention that we do have a recycling station for water, so please refill your water bottles. And if you have disposable water bottles, please help us by using the recycle bin to recycle them instead of throwing them away in the trash can over there. And then post the actual pilgrimage, starting at the tent will be a walking tour of the gardens and other features here that will lead right back to the interpretive center. So thank you all, and I hope that this is just a fantastic day for all. Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you, Les. All right. Let's recognize some people. Who's here from Gardena who came with the JCI bus, the Japan Cultural Institute? Where are you? Yay, lots of people. I heard there was a waiting list for rides. We have a lot of interesting people here today, including many who were born at Manzanar. Please raise your hand if you were born here in Manzanar. Where? Right here, right in front. Behind me. Hey, come on out, Brian. Brian Maeda, filmmaker, Hachimaki wearing boy, born here in Manzanar. Who here was born in a camp? Could be Heart Mountain, could be Thule, could be Poston, could be... There's Darryl Kunitomi waving his hand over at the awnings, born in Heart Mountain. That's my older brother. And we have a 94-year-old Nisei, Mary Furuya. Where are you, Mary? Mary? Where are you? Wherever you are, Mary, welcome back. This is her first visit back. We have local representation. Helping our sound guy today is Paul Lucia from Lone Pine. There's Paul right there.
Hey, Paul.
A local good boy from the valley. Ken Yoshida, 89 years old, drove all the way from San Mateo, all the way. He's a Topaz fellow. Where is Ken? Where are you, Ken? I know you're out there. Where are you? There he is. Wave your hand, Ken. Wave your hand. There he is. And by the way, for you younger people, if you see an older Nisei, which is a second-generation Japanese American, go up and say hi. They usually have some really interesting stories. But if my dad starts talking, be prepared to stand there a long time. Barbara Takei from the Tule Lake Committee. Barbara, where are you? Yeah, right there, waving her hand down here. The Tule Lake Committee is going into high gear because that site has received recognition, and they're going to build it up, beef it up. It's way at the top of California, just below the Oregon coast, boundary there, and it's a really interesting place to see. The iconic jail, which you see in our program, and barracks are up there. Abalone Mountain, which looks like an abalone. You'll see a picture in here too about that. And the interesting politics of the no-no question. This is stuff that's going to be coming up. It's going to heat up, and you may hear some discussion about it, guys. Born in Manzanar, Pat, yeah, there, I mentioned that. Okay, June Lagme, our city clerk of Los Angeles. Where are you, June? You're here today, aren't you? Where? There, over there, waving her hand. Hey, June, thanks for coming. And, let's see, our former supervisors, Tom Leatherman. Tom, where are you? There he is, waving his hands back there, wearing a Bucket Guts t-shirt. Tom is now over in the Bay Area taking care of 4 sites, and the one you may have heard of is the Rosie the Riveter home front site, which is dedicated not just to Rosie the Riveter, but everything that happened at home during World War II, and that was a lot, including the story of the internment camps. Frank Hayes, yes, I have you here. Frank, are you here? Where are you? There's Frank Hayes, waving his hand there. Frank goes way back. And now you're up in Alaska, right? All right. How are the mosquitoes this time of year? All right. We're going to bring up, let me take a look real quick at my notes here, because there's a lot to say, but we can move right along. We give out a legacy award named in honor of Sue Kunitomi Embry, and to present that award to the esteemed Warren Furatani, Bruce Embry, co-chair of the Manzanar Committee. Bruce, where are you, please? Come on up. Oh, is Hank here? Let's go with Hank. Where is Hank? Hank? Hank, are you here? Oh, okay, Hank is coming up. Here we go. Let's have a little bit of entertainment here from Hank Umemoto. We're going to look at his book. If you can believe it, Hank calls himself a Nisei hiker. Here we go. Okay. Come on up, bro. Okay. Now, Hank did something really interesting. And I'm going to introduce what you're going to say. And you have your letter ready to go?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Okay. Now, what Hank did was he spent a lot of time here at Manzanar as a young teen. Had a very interesting time here, which you read about in his book. An interesting life afterward, a family, moved around, changed jobs, and wound up writing things for posterity, his kids, and they became a book, a wonderful book, a very fun book. But when the question of payments came up, Hank had a very interesting reaction, and if you might read from your book as to what you wrote to the Department of Justice, go ahead.
Okay. Can I add the balero?
Yeah. Use this one.
I'm not a conformist.
Come on, just talking to the mic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, okay. Like Darryl said, I'm Hank, and I have a disclaimer. I'm a docent here at Manzanar and also a member of the committee. And I like to, what I say here or do does not necessarily reflect their views or attitudes or whatever. And I like to take full responsibility for whatever I say or do that may offend you or maybe inappropriate. After all, I don't want to taint their pristine reputation. So when I first came here, it was a great day, just like this. And to me, it was a landscape created in heaven with the rusty Inyo and the Sierras, snow-covered Sierras that extended all the way. And so anyway, the book starts with my reaction to Manzanar the morning after I arrived here. "You," I yelled, followed by a long finger gesture. The driver brought his Jeep to a quick halt, got out, and walked toward me. His fellow soldier riding shotgun followed with a rifle under his arm. "What did you say?" the driver asked. His partner inched forward until he had me looking up the barrel of his rifle. I was terrified and trembling with fear. "Nothing," I stuttered and lied. Just a few weeks earlier, I was a 13-year-old 7th grader at Sierra School in Florence, located in the San Joaquin Valley of California. I always thought that everybody knew Florence, but it came to my attention that there are few that never heard of Florence. How many of you have never heard of Florence? Oh, that's not bad. One evening, some months later, the crimson sky over the Sierra had turned to deep indigo and the stars had begun to sprinkle the eastern horizon. It was time to call it a day and return to our barracks. Through the window, two eerie, faint flickering lights appeared and descended the mountain, sending shivers down my spine. If you look toward the mountain there, you see a faint Z-like thing, kind of crooked Z. And that's where two lights began to descend, sort of float down the mountainside. I described this to Frank as we walked to school the following morning. "Yeah, I saw that too," he said. "There was two hikers with flashlights coming down from Whitney Portal." "Whitney Portal? What's that?" It sounded to me like the portholes on the ship, and I was confused. "Well, that's where you can drive up and park your car. From there, you can start hiking to reach the top of Mount Whitney." "You mean we could climb to the top?" I was curious and anxious to think that perhaps we can climb it too. "Not we, you asshole. You're going to be a free man to climb it." In that moment, I made a vow to climb Mount Whitney someday. I had no idea, however, that trick would take me so long. It took me 57 years, and when I was 71, I finally made it up to the top. Thank you. It is often said that only an idiot would climb it twice. I climbed it 10 more times after that. So this book is about hiking, climbing, mixed in with other oddball events. And so this is a story written by an idiot, Nisei, idiot hiker, whose only talent was to get lost. On August 10, 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, which authorized the payment of $20,000 restitution to eligible Japanese Americans who had been unjustly interned in the United States during World War II. In a letter dated February 5, 1993, I officially refused monetary restitution. Let it be clear that I have great respect and admiration for Sue Kunitomi Embry of the Manzanar Committee and for hundreds of others who diligently contributed their time to the redress effort, which brought the violation of our civil rights to public awareness. Their efforts have resulted in the preservation of former camps, including Manzanar, and helped discourage similar injustices in the future. I declined the $20,000 redress money and sent the following letter explaining why. February 5, 1993, to the United States Department of Justice. Thank you for your kind concern regarding the redress payment, and I wish to apologize for not responding to your previous letters. Classic today is the account of Issei and Nisei, who left their peaceful communities for relocation centers so remote that they weren't even on the map. Manzanar was one of these maps. Describe Manzanar as you will, and you're probably correct. Sand, wind, ice, heat, and 36 blocks of tar paper barracks. But when people came, they planted lawns, trees, and shrubs. They dug holes and built ponds, and rock gardens, waterfalls, and wishing wells. They pooled their cultural resources and started flower arrangement, shuji, and shigin classes, and dozens more. Competition was fierce in baseball, gymnastics, to judo. The educational system and its requirements were just as high as any other American school. Industry flourished from furniture production to tofu and even miso manufacturing. Farmers transformed barren desert wasteland into productive farmland. This was the industrial, cultural, and agricultural Manzanar, and for a while it was my home. I claimed this former desert community for it is so much a part of me. Occasionally, when I feel disgusted with the greed, crime, and immorality existing within our present society, I return to Owens Valley and what used to be Manzanar, and then I become well and confident again because I am reminded of those wartime diligent Issei and Nisei who with pride and determination faced that wartime episode as just another interlude in one's life and ventured into totally unfamiliar and often hostile communities to start their lives from square one. I am hereby declining the redress payment because instead of being considered a victim of injustice, I would rather have the Japanese Americans go down in history as a patient, proud, and courageous group who endured that wartime incident peacefully with pride, courage, and determination. And I hope that someday there will be peace all around us and that all mankind can live in harmony without hatred and prejudice forever. Sincerely, Hank Umemoto. Thank you. I received a letter shortly thereafter saying your record of written refusal has been filed with ORA and the amount shall remain in the Civil Liberties Publication Fund. In 2011, I received a $25,000 grant from the California State Library to publish this book. It came to my attention sometime after receiving the grant that the money was part of the Civil Liberties Public Education Program, which was where my declined $20,000 redress check had been deposited back in 1993. Whether it is a coincidence or a miracle, the thought makes me smile in bewilderment. In any case, I am deeply grateful Today, we're under the great weather, kind of hot, but great. Today, the Iyo Mountain is still there, Sierra is still there. It was just like it was in May of 1942 when I first arrived there, except for one thing. Today, we could roam the valley just like the pioneers used to do centuries ago. And we could venture into Iyo Mountain and go into abandoned mines, few hundred feet deep, and even drive a car into Manzanar Reward Mine. And to the west, we had Shepherd Pass that goes into the wilderness. And you can venture or scale up Mount Whitney at your whim. Perhaps this is a reminder that freedom is not something that we should take it for granted, but it's something that we work for and fight for, like we did in our own Nisei way. Today, as Niseis, we're old, I can't even stand straight up. We're feeble and we're over the hill. We've at our final destination. We're among the vanishing breed. But today, you are here, the younger generation, dynamic generation, who cares and cares so much to preserve the freedom that we have regained and to ensure that history will never repeat itself. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hank. Thank you very much, Hank.